G'day and welcome to the Peter Montgomery Show. It's great to have you here. Now, I've got an awesome guest lined up for you today, but before we kick off, I just want to introduce you to our sponsor, YMag. YMag is a magazine all about your why you do what you do in business. One of the many great things about YMag is you can submit your why story to be featured in the magazine. You can request to be a feature writer about your business and about your why. And also, this is something I've taken advantage of, is you can secure prime advertising space in the magazine, and it's directed towards a niche audience, which is just incredible. I love it. So after the show, click on the link and go subscribe to YMag. All right, let's go meet our guest today. Well, g'day, Andrew. Welcome to the show, mate. It's great to have you on. I've been looking forward to this since last year.
Yes, we chatted last year and here we are.
Finally made it happen. All right, man, let's kick it off. Let's just talk a little bit about who are the people that you're helping with your business. We're going to find out all about everything that you do, your story, everything. But who are you helping in your business?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. I've attracted a few different target audiences from... Originally, I was a business coach, so obviously business owners, entrepreneurs, and became a really successful business coach. So then all of a sudden, it was the business coaching community, the online marketers started coming, and now I'm actually getting a lot more niche in who I'm targeting, and I'm actually working a lot closer with experts that are really focusing on niche markets, and I'm able to partner with them, help them really take their business to a whole new level and specialise, particularly in my case, helping people really focus on not just growing a great business, but maintaining that balance. And I got the saying, make your cake and eat it too.
All right, so what is the main way that you help them? Like, are you coaching them one-on-one through Skype, webinars? Like, what's your specialty?
Yeah, I started one-to-one. And as many people, you soon realise there's only so much of that you can handle. Move more into group coaching, move more into leverage stuff. But these days, I am able to really reach enormous numbers through the power of online marketing. I've written a book which is all automated, and I've been really using webinars to reach and influence people in big numbers. So just to give you an example, we ran a recent webinar on a topic about money, actually making money and why so many people are afraid of it. And we had 680 entrepreneurs, not just from Australia, around the world, come on and register. And that's a really powerful way to reach people.
Wow, man. So let's dig back into your story now. How did you kind of get started to end up doing these webinars and all that sort of stuff? And yeah, through that, I'm sure we'll learn a whole ton of stuff.
Well, I'll give my really fast story. 10 years ago, I became a business owner, business coach, and grew my coaching practice to a healthy income level. It took me a lot of, like everyone, I really struggled. Got to the stage where I had a decision to remain a practice, keep everything small, or create a business. I chose the business path, and I decided to build a business, and I helped build a team with a business partner. We built a team of 25 in about 2 years. So we had 13 business coaches, 25 team members. We were turning over about $2.5 million a year. And that was very important for me to being a business coach. I really had this incongruency of how can I help these other business owners when I've never gone through this journey myself. So I really wanted to go through that. I had a really interesting understanding on this journey, Peter, and I think many entrepreneurs go through this because I got into business for freedom and fulfillment. And I was at a point 2 years into that journey after building that business to that healthy level, but I was belted. I was stressed and full of anxiety. I was working my backside off, and I went on a trip to Papua New Guinea to do the Kokoda Trail, and me being me, because I so caught up in the head, I wanted to get it done within 3 days. And the average time's maybe 6 or 7 days, but no, I wanted to conquer this walk.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I wasn't able to do that because we had rain and all sorts of things. So it took me 7 days, and it was actually at the start frustrating, but by the end, a life-changing experience because I was sitting up in the mountains and I was watching these communities of these Papua New Guinean people sitting around, and I looked over at them and I went, my God, they're so happy. They sleep in, they have to go and get their own food, they sit around and sing every evening and they dance. They don't have electricity. There's nothing like what we've got. And I looked at every single one of them was smiling and laughing and having a good time. And I just looked at my life and I just thought, what the hell am I chasing? That was the question I asked. Like, why am I sacrificing all of this? And I was thinking about it. I thought, I'm working my backside off back in Sydney to get what they've got. And it really hit me. And I actually had a transformation, and I came back, sold my business in Sydney. And I thought, I don't need that. It was ego. And I decided I needed to simplify my life and change things. And I wrote a book called What the Hell Are You Chasing? And for me, that sparked a whole new journey. So I released this book in January last year. We've now got over 100,000 fans on Facebook. We've sold thousands of copies. It's led to a course to help people realise that, success is about how much fun you have as opposed to how much money you make. It really is the balancing act. And what I've found, though, Peter, you can have... I'm not against making money or anything like that or success. I just feel that you don't have to sacrifice all your life. I think a lot of people are led to think you have to.
Okay, I just want to hold it there. Like, what is it that you were sacrificing in your journey? What were you chasing after? Chasing after the wind, basically. What was the wind at that point?
I just got on a mission, and Peter, great question. And I don't know whether other people do this, but I did, and that was I thought I couldn't go. I stopped going to friends' functions because I was either too tired or too busy. My health wasn't as good as what it could have been. So I wasn't exercising as much. I was putting in maybe, the big hours. I became very focused on business success. And at the expense of, if you like, the things that are really important to my personality, which is laughter, sport, family, friends, holidays, bumming around, having a good time. And I started losing that identity. And I think it's I don't know, but I experience this with lots of businesses that I work with. I think it's an easy trap to fall in.
I think a lot of people do that. I've fallen into that. I know people that have fallen into that.
Yeah.
And so seeing the Papua New Guinea people, right, and their happiness, that's kind of what was is it the catalyst for you? That was the moment that you went, they've got something I haven't got and I want that. How did you, because I mean, it would have been more almost subconscious, like a feeling of just like emptiness or something, was it? Like what, could you describe that for us? Because I think it'd be helpful to actually describe the painful element of it, because I think a lot of people are going through that and they're appearing happy online. They're awesome. Their life's awesome. And how you going? Great. I'm going awesome. But really, they're miserable and it hurts.
Yeah.
Could you describe, let's go a little deeper and get into some of that element for you.
Yeah. And I think if you interviewed a lot, you would find many are feeling this, something doesn't feel right. But for me, it's a really good question, because what happens, I'm going to go from my experience here, but I feel when you're growing a business, there's such a can of worms that's open. There's so much to learn. There's so much we've got to do. There's never enough hours in the day, okay? And as a result, we get caught up in the mind. So we're constantly, holy moly, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, forgot to do that. And so when I was on the Kokoda Trail, two things happened. Number one, you have to concentrate on every step that you take. And as a result, it was a forced meditation, because what it did was it forced me to stop thinking, because I had to concentrate. And all of a sudden, I started sinking in and becoming present. In fact, I believe I was experiencing presence for the first time in 6 years. And when I say presence, that is, my God, what's going on around me? Actually stopping and smelling the roses and actually noticing and hearing a bird sing. Like, I used to walk to the train station and I wouldn't have even noticed walking past a friend, because my mind would be, because I might have been going to the city for a meeting, my mind would have been so focused on what I was going to achieve that day. And that's the breakthrough. It was the realization that I was not present, and that these people were, and that they were happier than me because they were present. And at the first, it was a massive revelation, and secondly, it was excitement. I'm like, oh my God, have I been buried under a rock? It's being present.
How did it feel for you, that moment when you came out of that? Because I think I've experienced something a bit like that as well. It's like you've come out of this hypnotic state.
Yeah.
What was the first step you took after that?
Oh, I started laughing. And I didn't care all of a sudden about goals and money and success and all this stuff. And I just went, my God, everything's here. It just was a massive... I'll tell you what happened. It was like someone stuck a big needle into me and released all the stress and anxiety that I'd been holding on to. It was just the most liberating feeling of my life. And don't get me wrong, Peter, I'm back in business now, and you can get trapped, very easily trapped. And I get on the path again, but now I know, hang on, and I know I've got to get back into nature. I've got to get away. I've got to go and get... It's like a spiritual connection. I mean, that was the thing that really sparked my spiritual journey. And a realization that life, we become so disconnected, and particularly as entrepreneurs, and we just need to reconnect. Yeah.
Just want to sit on that for a second, because I think everyone's going through that. I think probably every entrepreneur goes through that driven sense, right?
Yeah.
So what's the so you've come through that, you got to that realization. Now, where do you go from there? Like, how do you then direct all this energy, this this feeling of, I got to achieve this, because it's good stuff. It's like that motivation. What's the word I'm trying to think of? There's a particular word. I'm looking at a book now that I know. But yeah, basically, whatever it is that is driving us. Now, how do you redirect that energy to something that's going to be helpful to us?
Look, the key word is that I now understand is it's a balance, right? So I'm very driven, and I still am very motivated, and get me on the task, I get back into that place that I was when I drove that business. And I don't want to lose that. It's part of me. It's who I am. And I equally know that if I don't go and put myself into places like where I was in Papua New Guinea regularly, and if it's not scheduled, it doesn't get done, right? And I call it a brain detox. I think we all, everyone has these body detoxes. I think entrepreneurs, particularly online marketers, because we spend so much time in front of the computers, we need a brain detox. So to give you an example, in May, I'm taking a group of 10 over to experience what's called Ayurveda, which is a 10-day, no mobile, no technology, healthy food. It's an Indian medicine. It's a really affordable way to stop for 10 days. It's 8 days, sorry, it's not 10. But the reality is, people will get connected, absolutely no doubt about it. And the other thing as well, Peter, when you do these things, you let go of so much stress and anxiety that you actually make way more money, and you're like 5 times more effective when you come back. So you, as entrepreneurs, I don't care what anyone says, I don't have time, I don't have money. That's, in my world, that's real rubbish, because you get your biggest growth on those types of experiences, and you really do shift.
Okay. Now let's sort of, I guess, go to the opposite end of this now and start talking a bit more about the webinar thing. And now we're in the technology. We've come back from our trip. We're feeling good. We're energized, and we're actually going to be productive in our work in the time that we spend. And we're not just going to throw hours at something for the sake of it. We're going to get something productive done. Talk about, the specifically the work that you're doing that's helping you grow your business.
So I'll give you a quick example. So I wrote a book, What the Hell Are You Chasing? And then I decided, I was getting a lot of interest and a lot of people saying, can you run a workshop? And I went, I didn't want to get back into running workshops. I wanted to keep it all virtual. And so I decided to create a course. I called it Flip Your Life. And I built this course in about 2 months, built the whole thing, recorded it, packaged it. It's a really, really comprehensive course to help people. And what I did was I decided to sell it via webinar. So this is my very first time I sold this course. So I approached a person that I knew had quite a large database of an audience that I thought would benefit from this course. In this case, entrepreneurs, business owners. I then said to them, would you be open to me sharing my story and offering this program? And by the way, I'll give you a cut of some of the sales I make. And they said, sure. Mm-hmm. And so we sent out a couple of emails and we drove people to the webinar. And to give you an idea, I had about 350 register for this webinar. So number one, I've all of a sudden just grown my database by 350. Number two, I had 250 people on the live webinar. Mm-hmm. Number three, we made 67 sales that day at $500. It was $497 at $500 each. So, and that was the first time I ever sold that particular course. Sure, I've done some webinars prior to that. But if you like, I call it you got cash flow and then you got chunk flow. For me, this is it's a chunk flow strategy. It's like a way to get, that money was in the bank account within an hour of that webinar. So all of a sudden I've got money and all of a sudden I've got, not only that, I'm feeling really cool because I know for a fact people are going to benefit from this course. Webinars have been extraordinary for me. And once you learn how to do it, obviously, you become better and better and better at it. And, I was helping a client out the other day and ran his fourth webinar and brought in over $200,000 in income. So, there's a little saying, Peter, and that's, what requests aren't we making that if we did would transform our businesses beyond our wildest dreams? And when I learnt that, I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to pick the phone up and ask people if they would feel comfortable inviting their database to listen to me. Right. And so that's it's called sell through, not to. So I think you can rely heavily on online marketing and stuff, but for me, too slow, that stuff. You can get a bit of traction. The most powerful way to sell is to find someone with the audience.
So find someone with your audience and get them to endorse you, which is effectively saying, hey, come listen to my friend's webinar. It's really cool.
But come up with something really cool in terms of value to offer their database and a good win-win. So, that particular client that we sold to pocketed about $18,000 in commission. So total effort for them was 2 emails.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how we do it. And obviously, when you become really good at something, Peter, I went on, and for those that are interested can check out, I created another business sitting at howtowebinar.com.
Yep.
And by the way, I did write an ebook and a couple of really cool videos. In fact, I brought a camera in to record me doing a live webinar where I made 18 grand or something like that.
Yeah.
So the camera's there recording me and people can watch me doing it. And you can actually see the income hitting the...
Oh, excellent. So this where do you get this video?
They can see it on howtowebinar.com.
Yeah, okay. So I'll link that up, guys, just so you know. There's anything he mentions there, I'm going to link it up.
Yeah, so I find life such an amazing thing because you have these experiences and then it leads you onto a different business journey. It's amazing. And that, so obviously, why did I create a webinar course? Well, I became really good at webinars. So then it's a logical next step. And then, I can run a webinar on webinars and make another $40,000, $50,000 in sales there. So but I can do it in a much more leveraged way than what I used to do.
Yeah, okay. And so how often are you doing webinars? Like if you're going to get into this, like what's your rate? Are you sort of just doing them every other week? Or
I like to go 1 to 2 times a month. Now, what I'm doing now is I've planned them all out for the year. Obviously, if someone comes to me and says, Andrew, we'd love for you to run a webinar to our database, I'm all over it. It's just, what you've got to respect when you set the systems up, maximum time from my end, because I know the webinar I need to run. I'm an expert on the topics. The copy's written. 2 hours. Maximum time.
Of running the actual webinar itself?
Well, no, the prep.
The prep time for you now is 2 hours.
For me, and then actually running the webinar is 2 hours. Because what you've got to respect, when I make the sale, I don't touch it. It's all automated. So when people buy, the products are all delivered automatically.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
what products are you selling these days on these
So,
webinars?
look, a range of things. So what I did, I'm running a workshop on the 6th and 7th of, 8th and 9th of March, and I ran a webinar in December on time management, and I'm helping people get really organised with their time. And I offered the 2-day workshop for $2,000, and we sold 23 of them. So, once you learn the skill, Peter, it's like driving a car. Once you've got the skill, you can drive any car. And so I utilise them to sell workshops. I've got 3 online programs at the moment, 4 online programs. One on webinars, one on identifying your mission, your purpose. I think a lot of people struggle with that. The Flip Your Life, which I've spoken about, and Mastering Money.
Okay, now with these webinars, because I've heard of other people that do webinars and teach how to do webinars, and from what I've heard, the most effective thing is like people that actually almost read word for word the copy. Now they've done it so many times, and it's so much a part of them that when they wrote it, it's like they're just speaking anyway, and it just kind of comes naturally. It's almost like notes. But is that the kind of thing that you're doing, like that you teach people how to do that sort of stuff?
Yeah. There's so much. It's very comprehensive, and as I said, it's a high-end skill. And I really spent 3 to 6 months mastering it.
Yep.
And when I say mastering it, that means working with the top mentors around the world to learn how to do it myself. But it's a formula. It's a system.
Can you talk us through it, like without giving away too much? Because obviously people have to buy a webinar.
I'll give it to you,
Yeah.
and I'm happy
Excellent.
to outline it. And people we uncover this in our free stuff. What you've got to respect is each part of this is broken down at a very deep level. So you need to introduce strongly. So, for example, I could come on and go, "Oh, hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about mastery." Verse, I'm so excited you're showing up, guys. I mean, this is, I can really open it up and get them. What you want to do at the start is have them leaning in, going, "My God, I'm so happy I chose to be on here."
Yeah.
Okay, so strong introduction is your objective is to get them leaning in, thinking I'm in the right place. You want to stick them to the end. So I offer a bonus for sticking to the end and make it really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you offer that right off the start.
Right off the start, guys. Make sure if those of you that stick at the end, I'm going to give you a link that's going to give you some templates that one of my clients has used. It's just this one letter. It could be on I might be doing one on marketing. And if you send this letter out, it's that simple. You will get 10 leads. If you mail this out to a database of 50 people, it'll bring you back in 10 leads. Something like that, right?
Yeah, something really cool, really easy, but you have to stick around to the end to get it.
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Then you've got to move into what's called your sales story. This is actually where the sale's made. Because people don't buy from you unless they trust you and like you. And they will buy from you when they feel gotten. And so your sales story is all about, it's a real art. And by the way, this is where we go into massive depth, and I won't go into it, but you've got to connect with them at a subconscious level, and you've got to hit them with where they're at and where their challenges are and where they think, my God, this guy, they know my hidden secrets, they get me. And then basically let them know that you've got the solution to pull them out of wherever they're at to fix their problem. So that's the key. The sales story is the key, believe it or not. 2 pieces of core content, maybe 3.
So could you describe core content? What's core content?
So that's value. That's cool. So we've identified the problem. Today's topic's on, for example, I might have been doing one on planning, and I've identified the problem. People are crap at it. And as a result, you're crap at it, you're stressed, all these things are going on. So I've identified the pain. All right, so here's some core content. Number 1, if you're not on a 90-day plan, you're mad. So therefore, I may educate them on how to build a 90-day plan and the benefits about it and why they should have it. Bearing in mind, that's also part of my solution. And I'm not giving them all the knowledge on it. I'm just teasing them, giving them enough to feel that's valuable.
And not just feel valuable, it is valuable. They can take it and use it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And by now, I want them writing like mad. It's high value. And then the second part is core content. And the key to it then is transitioning to close. And like most people, and like how I was once upon a time, Peter, we get really scared about closing. It's weird. Our body changes, our energy changes, and I teach. No. You have to move into the close as though you're still teaching, and it's a real art. It's called a transition.
Mm.
And so I'll be going along teaching, and then I'll bring up a page and it says, look, so, I hope, so you came along to the webinar for these reasons, and I hope in addition to those you've got X, Y, and Z. So this is called the obvious question, the only thing that where you're at right now is what can I do next? What do I need to do to really master planning? That's exactly why we're putting this 2-day workshop on. So I just did a little transition for you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about it. And so it's like changing gears, and it's really smooth.
Yeah.
And it's in a way that's not going teach, sell.
Yeah.
There's a real art, and I think a lot of people don't get this smooth transition. It's like once you learn it, it is so powerful.
Mm.
Yeah.
So no, I like that. It's because here's the thing too with sales. What do you think? I was going to say something, but what do you think is the reason behind people feeling weird, hitting that weirdness, and all of a sudden it's their energy changes when they're about to make the sale, as opposed to when they were teaching you this really cool stuff they're excited about, but now it's kind of like, oh, now I've got to ask you for money. What's stopping people? What's the block?
I'll be really. I think I know exactly what it is, and head trash, and until you believe in you, no one else will. I heard a really interesting thing the other day. If you're not a raving fan of your own business, how can you ever expect anyone else to be? And so for me, Peter, and this is a great tip, and this was passed someone else, a guy called Michael taught me this, and he said, making sales is actually your ability to look at someone in the eyes and believe with absolute truth that, yes, I can help you and I can fix your problem, and it's going to cost you this. And so if you're selling something for high price, it's your confidence that you have the solution. And, for me, it's got to be at a beyond doubt belief. So the people that are hesitant in selling haven't worked enough on their belief system at the front. And for me, there's many tools and techniques, which is actually more in a program like Flip Your Life, to get to that, because, when you've got that, you just go for it. And I don't have the fear of doing it in the slightest anymore, because I'm so confident in what I'm offering.
So is it like you love, oh great, look, I've got this opportunity to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I can help this person.
I've learned to love it. And I'm not scared of it. And I used to be. I used to hear the sale coming and used to cringe, right? So if you cringe when someone else is offering and trying to offer a solution, then you've got the issue. Whereas today I applaud someone on asking.
Yeah, and the way that they do it.
Good on you. And I've learned, get over yourself, because we're in the business of helping people. So help them, it's selfish having those fears.
It's a funny, and it's like you said, head trash was your word for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so people can go on master and master and master trying to sell, but man, just get the belief. Once you got the belief, it's easy.
Okay, because I'm just sort of in my mind now. I'm just sort of at a point where I'm thinking, is it not just about belief, but it's because you've got the value, whatever it is, you've got the value. If you truly have the value, it's almost like you need someone outside of you to help you recognize just how valuable what you offer is. If you don't know, you know what I mean?
Bingo. And if you're new and if you're offering something for the first time, you've got to get that belief up, right? By exactly right, Peter. The belief will come when you know what you're delivering produces results. How do you know that? Go and trial it on people for free if you have to. But as soon as you can see it's getting results, if you're not getting a bucket load of results, stop selling it. Find something that you do believe in to sell. So for me, look, you got to get them to believe in you, you've got to get them to believe in your product and service, and you've also got to get them to believe in themselves. And so what I do at the front end is I write down like 100 reasons to how I'm going to get them on a webinar to believe in me, 100 ways I'm going to get them to believe in my product, and then 100 different ways on what can I do to get them to believe in themselves. Because I could teach someone how to run a webinar, but if they're thinking, oh yeah, but he's lucky or he was born a different way, all this stuff, which is nonsense because I couldn't talk publicly 8 years ago. You know, if they're thinking all of that, then I've got to hit those thoughts during the webinar to help them. You go, you know what, guys, anyone can master this. You don't have to be a professional speaker, which is true.
You just got to get started in doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was crap at something when they first started. No one can pick up a guitar or a bass and just start playing. You know, it takes time and practice and energy. You got to get the blisters. You got to get through the stage, but you got to want to do it so much that you'll persevere through all that stuff to come out the other end as someone who can play, someone who can play in webinars, that type of thing.
Bingo.
Okay, so we've got the transition now.
Yeah.
Going back to the sort of the formula. Just after we've gone through the transition, what's next?
Close. Tell them about your product, make an offer, and it's a real art because it's got to be very clear, it's got to be benefit driven, it's got to be very much understandable. And my close goes for about 12 minutes. And you don't rush it, same pace. And at the same time, I'm still teaching during the close. And then I have it's the steak knives close, and people argue it, but it works, right? So for those of you, here's the usual fee, but you can get it today for X. And if you do get it in the next, I have a 60-minute close. If you get it in the next 60 minutes, and sometimes I make my bonus better than the actual offer. And quite often some people will buy my thing and say, I bought it for your bonus. I'm like, that's okay.
Okay, well, here's a question. What's the art of the best bonus? Because I was speaking to a guy, Sean Clark, a while back. Yeah. Speaker trainer Sean. And he was telling me that he had an offer from stage. Everyone was ready to go, like got him to that point. They're like, yes. And then he added the bonus in and it confused people. And he lost a whole bunch of sales that, you know, the people at the back of the room were thinking, yes, we're going to get this. This is going to be great. But then the bonus threw everyone off and people didn't buy. And he found out through talking to them later at the event that it was the bonus that threw them off. You know, so basically, if he had not done the bonus, or the bonus itself was great. What's the art of a good bonus?
Bonus, clean, simple, exactly right, non-confusing.
So could you give us an example of one of your bonuses that you add that people have bought? Bought the original training because of the bonus. Like, what's the match?
Okay, so I'm selling my Flip Your Life program. I finish it. I offer it 60-minute bonus, guys. If you buy in the 60-minutes, I'll give you a portion of my webinar course. And you've just seen how I've run this webinar, and I'm sure many of you could utilize this technology. And in addition, you'll get a section of my webinar course for free, and I'll give you a really good section and it's a value of $1,000. But you need to buy in the next 60 minutes. So if you like, what I've done is people will be sitting there going, "Cool, I like the offer. Holy moly! This webinar technology is cool. I might be able to do this." So it's linked, whereas maybe Sean offered something that was not as well linked.
Yeah, it was just that fine line. And how would you know if the bonus was good? Like, what would be one of the indicators that the bonus was a good match and not? Because you can only tell once you offer it.
We get about 95% of our sign-ups within 60 minutes.
Okay.
So why do people buy 60 minutes? Clearly to get the bonus. That tells me it's good. So we've got like a 3-day offer on the original product and a 60-minute bonus. And I never get a result if I don't do a 60-minute bonus. Interesting. If I forget the 60-minute bonus, which I never do anymore, I don't get the closing. I don't get the closing rate. Because people, if you give them 3 days to think about it, they will. And if you give them 60 minutes to think about it, it's a little bit different, isn't it? They've got to, all of a sudden, they're pressured into making a decision, which is exactly what you want.
Yeah, but it's not a pressure of a manipulation type thing. Like obviously, you want to induce some enthusiasm to get the sale done now, as opposed to later when they'll forget. But with the pressure, it's kind of the pressure that you'll miss out on something cool, not that you're an idiot if you don't get the. I don't know.
No. But on that, I mean, I'm as a business coach, I don't tolerate indecisiveness because that's the biggest thing that stops people moving forward. So for me, one of the biggest things I'll work on is getting yes or no.
Yes, that's the. I think that's the key there. It's just getting the yes now.
Say no, that's cool, but don't sit there analysing it, because analysing it, what good does it do? And because people get caught up in analysing land, and meanwhile the person that's made the decision is on to the next thing, and hence is always going to be more successful.
So that's interesting. The decision is what you're really putting the 60-minute time limit there, is to get the decision that they wanted to make anyway. But for whatever reason they were procrastinating, the decision's going to benefit them either way. Even if they make it later, it's still going to benefit and they miss out on the bonus. But they make it's just that little sauce on top of the deal.
And how can I exert pressure on someone when they're sitting in front of their computer on the other side of the world? There's zero pressure.
Yeah.
There's zero pressure. The only pressure that's created is in their mind. I mean, what's pressure is one-to-one selling. That's pressure.
Yeah.
Because you're in front of the person and they can't get away. But webinar selling, there's zero pressure on them. And the only pressure that will be exerted is in their brain. So, if they... And by the way, you remove it. You risk reverse. If you hate it, we give you money back. So you make it as easy as possible for them. So we often will say, well, not only will give you money back, but we'll give you $500 for wasting your time. That's how much we believe in our products, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to have that high level belief.
Well, how long have you been doing this for now?
Webinars coming on to 4 years now.
Yeah.
But I sold my business in Sydney, and I read the 4-hour work week, and I said I'm going to do things very differently to how I was doing it in Sydney. So it's true. When the student's ready, the teacher appears, and all of a sudden I got into them about 4 years ago, and it's been my number one marketing strategy by a long, long way. And we've introduced maybe 12, in last year alone, 12,000 new leads into our database from just running webinars.
Right, so when someone signs up to register for a webinar, they go on your list. They're not just they're not just registering. So it's like, to register for this webinar, put your name and email in here. Bang.
Yep.
Does that register? Like, who do you use? GoToMeeting or?
Yeah, GoToMeeting, and then you have a thing saying, join the database, and then they're on the database. And if you produce a great webinar, they'll want to follow you anyway.
Yeah. And so, how often are you sending emails out between webinars to keep nurturing that relationship with the list?
I send out a weekly video blog.
Okay. And what sort of stuff are you putting on that?
Range of stuff, philosophical and business. Honestly, mainly philosophical, because I've found that there's a lot of business knowledge out there, and I'm providing philosophical tips for business owners, and it's all about finding more flow and increasing energy. And I'm teaching around things like how to let go and, really how to get that belief up. So I'm focusing in that space for the business owners.
Awesome, man. This is all good stuff. That whole webinar formula and how it works. It's one of those things you kind of think you know it because you've been on a million webinars, but you don't until it's kind of laid out for you, and just the psychology behind how it works and the fact you can reach so many people.
Yeah.
In one hit. That's what you're trying to do when a speaker speaks to a room. They're trying to reach as many people at one time, but they physically have to be somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Webinar, you can be anywhere.
It's cool. It's great. It's an end-to-end strategy. I wouldn't be just using it for nothing else, and we use other stuff, but for me it's been amazing. And we will often get people from 15, 16, 17 different countries coming in on some of our webinars. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Someone's up at 2 a.m. at Glasgow. It's quite funny. Watching
your stuff, and that's just a sign of just how connected our world is now. You would never be able to do business with anyone. Like, the scale that we can just do this now.
Exactly.
Like the fact I don't even know where you are. Where are you right now?
Queensland.
I'm in Sydney, you know what I mean? Like, and we can have this conversation and share this content with everyone. This is...
Exactly.
I love it. Hey, listen, man, where can we send people if they really want to sort of tap into the webinar or maybe just get on your list and get some of that philosophical
Yeah,
stuff?
so best place for the webinars, howtowebinar.com. Great videos there. For those that are going through what we were talking about earlier, that stress and that anxiety, they'll benefit a lot from my book. They can get the first 3 chapters if they want to check it out. Easiest place is still on andrewroberts.com.au.
Okay, and your
And by the way, you can access the webinar stuff. Everything's on there. That's the hub where everything sits.
Okay, and now with your Facebook page,
Yeah.
because I'm going to put that link down there. How did you get 100,000 likes? Because I'd imagine it wasn't through hiring someone that will give you 10,000 useless likes, because you got so much engagement on that page too. You know, you put up a post, hundreds, thousands sometimes of people liking it, commenting. Yeah, how did you build that just before?
One day we should do another chat just on that, because that's a whole nother story and there's a bit behind that. But it's that has been a remarkable strategy, and I'd love to share it one day if you'd like me to, because
for sure,
it's
man.
really
Sure. Sooner
cool.
than
And
later
not only
too.
that, it's been a real funnel. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say sooner than later too. Like, in
great.
the next few weeks, we could probably get you back on and do that.
Yeah. So and but again, it's a strategy and it's cool. And there's a few things about Facebook which annoy me, because you got to pay now to get the message back out to all those lists. You know, it's a bit frustrating. But anyway,
What were you saying? I kind of interrupted you. You're talking about the funnel.
Well, you drive people from Facebook back into your database, so it's been cool, and how we've figured out how to do that.
Awesome, man. Listen, man, you've been an awesome guest. You've given us so much information and even more stuff than I knew what to expect today, because it was, we kind of planned this last year sometime.
Last year, yeah.
So, like just getting you back on now, man. So it was really exciting, and I had a great time, man. So thanks for sharing all that information with us.
Thanks a lot, Peter. Have a really good weekend, mate.
You too, man. All right, I'll talk to you soon, and I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks about the Facebook stuff.
Good stuff.